Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Dharma Time. I'm your host, the Dharma Guy, here with the Dope Doctor, and you are listening to us on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com, where we stream solutions. Welcome. And for those of you who have been listening or paying attention on our social media, you know that both myself and the Dope Doctor have been quite busy over the last month. We've been out of the studio. You've had a couple repeats. We did some non-live episodes as well, because we had a couple in the pipe for you guys. So that way you weren't listening to just...
couple in the pipe.
That's right. Well, in the pipeline?
Was that almost just didn't sound right.
Okay. Either way, we are back. We are live now. And it's good to be back. Although we're working out some kinks. You can tell we have the vacation still inside of us, I guess.
Yeah.
I vacationed in the Bahamas, and he was in Carolina. And then I also had some other professional duties, I guess, I was doing, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But anyways, so today's topic, I'm going to go ahead and just get right into it. Today's topic is attraction rather than promotion.
That's right.
And attraction rather than promotion is it's been said in numerous different ways, right? I think Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. Yeah. Very similar to that. And I got to be honest, I think when you asked me what made me think of it, it was the NASCAR event that I was at this weekend, right? Yeah. Full disclosure here. I am the president of the Now Matters More Foundation. He is the founder. And we've been graced, man. We've been lucky enough to partner up with a really good race team in All Out Motorsports with Corbin Forrester, the number 7 for the NASCAR Truck Series. And he has placed us on the hood, on the side, and on the tail, because we rolled out our new number. That's 1-833 Now Matters, and that's a nationwide number now to get referrals, to get help, things of that nature, to essentially connect with the Now Matters More Foundation if you're dealing with drug and alcohol addiction. So very fortunate, and because of our partnership with them, we are going to the different races and promoting them, promoting us, and things of that nature. But once again, full disclosure, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan. I was never really bitten by the bug, I guess. But Louis' life goal here is to get me to be a huge NASCAR fan, and actually Corbin has already told me that was his goal as well. And I gotta say it's working, right? But it's not working for the reasons I think most people think. No. Most people think that it's working because of the cars and the racing and the ambiance, if you will, that's set up.
What would be considered the obvious?
Yeah. And it's not. No. Oddly enough. Not to say, dude, I do have testosterone, so I love the loud engines and the fast cars and the racing and things of that nature. I think it's pretty cool. But the two things that are making me a fan at the moment, and I'm not going to put these in order because the second one is basically what the show's about. So I'm going to get the easy one right out the way. Okay. But I do like the chess game stuff. I do like the intricacies. I like the fact that it's not just put a truck on the track and go left. So not. There's so dude, I knew that there was a lot of details, mainly because of all the motorcycle stuff I used to do. Yeah. I used to do stunt shows and racing on the streets and stuff. So I knew that there was a lot that goes into it. But I was blown away with how much goes into it. Like, I'm talking, when I got there, the NASCAR officials, they're over there with their rulers and these plastic things measuring everything. They had to get it in the lineup. They're measuring, the distance to this, the weight of that.
Everything.
If you're off by like a millimeter, you're screwed.
It's so tiny.
And then when you get on the track, everything means something. I can't express how much every little tiny thing means something. It's the equivalent of getting dressed to go somewhere, but knowing that you're going to be judged on every single article of clothing. So you got to think about the shirt, the shoes, the pant, the belt, the pin that you put on. Like a politician almost, right? They've got the lapel pin. Everything is going to be scrutinized, so you got to make sure everything is on point. That's kind of like NASCAR. It is so important, and I didn't realize to the degree that it was that important, and I think that's amazing to me. I think it's really, really cool that you cannot be the highest paid or the highest car or whatever, but you can still compete if you dial everything in right. Right. I think that's really cool.
Oh, you're using NASCAR language. Dial it in.
Oh, see, that's also motorcycle language too. So, A lot of similarities. But so anyway, so my second part though, and this is probably the first, but for radio purposes, I need to rearrange them, I guess. But the atmosphere, I think, is what I like most about it.
Right.
And if I'm being honest, I was filled with a bunch of stereotypes. You've helped break down some of those walls, just knowing you and kind of over the years and seeing it. We've gone to a couple races together.
Right.
So it started a process, I guess, of breaking some of those walls down. But I, like everybody else, the stereotypical, white redneck, hillbilly, toothless, hitting it with the beer. Yeah, I don't relate to that very well. That's not who I am. Not that I have a problem with them. That's just not who I am as a person.
Still some of my favorite people, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where I come from, bro. A lot of my family's like that. But it's not like that, It's those, but it's all walks of life. It's everybody you can imagine,
right.
But more importantly, the behind the scenes, the people that make it run. That right there, I think, is the number one reason why I think I'm starting to be a NASCAR fan. Was we've been blessed now. We've gone to a couple races as a foundation, and we've been to some races with ARCA, with Kyle, and even with Jesse, who's been on my show a few times. And now, we've got a fantastic deal with Corbin Forster. And they all have something in common. They're all like just good people. They're all just nice. They're all very welcoming. But I got to spend an absurd amount of time this weekend with the Forster team. And I got to say, I was blown away. They were just so cool. They were so nice. And that's what made me think of the show title was attraction rather than promotion, because NASCAR does a ton of promotion. I see it on TV all the time. We live in Orlando, or I live in Orlando, and Daytona's 45 minutes away. So the Daytona 500, which is the biggest race of the year for them. So I see tons of promotion. I see it all over the internet. I see people with their NASCAR shirts on, things of that nature, and it's never worked.
Right.
It's never. I never really cared. I saw it on TV. I'm like, whatever. And to be honest with you, even the few races that you and I've gone to as spectators, while I thought it was cool, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time, enough to where I've gone multiple times with you, and I love the roar of the engines. It was cool, but still wasn't bit by the bug.
Right.
I could have it or take it. Like if you were to call me, like, matter of fact, I think one time you had some tickets. You're like, dude, I can't do it this time. I got to take the family. I'm like, whatever. I didn't care. I will now, though. By the way, but.
Then you're gonna hate it this weekend.
but no, so
'cause I'm going.
Hey, no worries. But
you should go.
But what got me was just the behind the scenes, man. Like just to see the dedication that they have, the camaraderie between all the other people. The other racers. They were all like really cool. The Foresters even opened up their trailer or their hauler, I guess, to some of the other teams that were coming in using some of their power and water. They borrowed some of their tools.
Yeah, because they got a brand new hauler.
Yeah, the AC was.
Everything they have is brand new.
The AC was amazing, by the way. But that's what did it, right? And so it wasn't the promotion; it attracted me to it.
Right.
Not because they promoted and told me how cool it was, but because they just did their thing and let me witness it. And it felt genuine. It didn't feel like they were putting on a show because we were in town, or that I was there streaming things or whatever. It felt very like, look, man, this is who we are every day. Come on in and take a look. This is what we're doing. And this is what the sport has to offer. And so that reminded me of that phrase of attraction rather than promotion. I think in today's society, we value promotion a lot, right? Like what we do, obviously, we have to promote.
Right.
We have to promote our social media, our radio station and stuff. But in a personal level, I think we as a society, we're all on social media, right? We're always trying to promote our best foot forward. We're always trying to, show people on social media how great our lives are and how much in love we are and all these other things. People aren't posting the arguments that they're getting into. They're not posting the bad things for the most part. And I think all that is an attempt to get people to like them, to get attention, to get followers, to get likes, to put this image of, hey, look at this. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that that's not necessarily the way, right? I think the way is to be consistent and live a certain lifestyle, and I think you'll just naturally attract people. And I think that's one of the hardest lessons we all have to learn. And I've learned a lot of it, but as I grow older, I learn more. It gets more ingrained within me. And the way I'll say it is like the two immediate things that come to mind. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. But
okay.
the two main things that come to my mind was number one, early on in my business practice. Early on, I would have a lot of old timers. A lot of people have been in the business a lot longer than I have. Not necessarily my particular business, but just business in general. They would all say to me, "Hey, just stay consistent, keep doing what you're doing, and the money will come, or the people will come, or the whatever will come." That's a hard thing to hear. It's a hard thing to hear, but it's kind of true, right? You get to the point where you're so hungry that you feel like you want to force it, and you want to go out there and tell the world. But in all reality, you got to just do you. Stay in your lane, do you, and it'll come, right? And I actually had a conversation with Corbin, right? Because for those of you who didn't know, I was at the race this weekend, and he was doing really good for a little while. At one point, he was actually number one, had a couple mishaps, and ended up finishing, I think it was 18th. Mm-hmm. It was a down moment for sure. I mean, after the race, nobody was really happy about it. They were all trying to do their best to take some positives from it, of course. Because you can't just be like, "Oh, well, it was me. I quit."
Well, he started 20th, so he made up 2 spots at the end.
Yeah. But the thing that I was talking to Corbin about was, you got to do you, man. And I told him, I was like, "I know this is hard to hear. And I know right now you probably don't want to hear it, but you're just not ready yet. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. You just stay consistent. You keep doing you. You keep learning. You keep growing. You keep getting better. And just stay consistent, and the wins will happen when they happen. It's going to happen. It's on its way." And I saw the look in his face where he was listening to me, but I also see the 25-year-old looking back at me, and I remember what I was like when I was 25,
right.
And people older were telling me, and I was like, "You're so full of it, dude. Like, I don't want to hear that. You just, what? That's impossible. No, you got to go out." I remember that aggressiveness, and that's what I was trying. I even told him, I was like, "Dude, I know right now it's probably going in one ear, not the other, but I promise you, man, you just stick with it. You keep doing you. You guys got a good thing going. Just stick with it, and it'll come." And I think that's a very hard lesson for people to learn in life. Whether it be relationships, whether it be in jobs, whether it be in finding happiness, things of that nature, especially like with this path, right? The Buddhist path, or even spirituality. No matter what, whatever your spirituality is, I think the tendency sometimes is to like want it right now and not realize that it'll come. I read the book, man. I don't feel any different.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You gotta attract that kind of stuff. You gotta attract the right people. You gotta attract the happiness. You gotta attract all these things. And so I think that in today's society specifically, I think it's a good thing to put out there. So I've ran my mouth enough. I'd like to hear your thoughts a little bit. First of all, welcome back to Florida, by the way.
Just like that, just send it over.
I know. Yes, I think you're good at what you do, bro.
All right. Well.
And it's a big AA thing as well, right?
It is. Attraction rather than promotion is something that gets said a lot in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. And so for those of you that don't know, I'm in recovery, clean and sober for 29 years.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So that is something that I'm accustomed to saying. And so what I think about everything you're saying is correct, by the way. Right. However, I think that it doesn't come for everybody. And what you're saying is faith. What I'm hearing when you're sharing is have faith that it'll happen when it's going to happen, when it's supposed to happen, whatever. But I think the other thing is sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it won't. However, there's something to be said about that journey of striving for it. Yeah. If you talk to a lot of people, like my wife and I have had this conversation a lot in regards to success. In those early years of for 25 years I had a business, stayed consistently with that business, and that's pretty much all I did, even though I had other businesses going on at the same time, even though I did other things at the same time. That business was consistent for 25 years. And the building of that business is where the fun was, to be honest with you. The building of it, the struggling years, the hard years.
The journey.
Yeah. And so for the Corbins of the world, the NASCAR driver you're talking about, the friend of ours, that's what he's experiencing is that journey. And so it seems like you're just more aware and your emotions are up more, which negative emotions and happy emotions both have pleasure impulses per second. They both have a high attached to it.
We covered that on our last show.
Yeah. So regardless of which one you're feeling, there's an excitement or an emotion that's kind of exciting about that. So I think that just to get that is important, but not everybody's going to attain it. Not all of you are going to attain that victory. If if victory has a certain look. If victory only has one look,
that I would agree with.
You're not all going to attain it. And I'm not saying to settle. I'm just saying along the path of the ultimate victory is all the miniature victories. Like, for instance, if we were taking Corbin, for instance, he struggled a little at the pit stop.
Yeah.
So a little victory would be to master a pit stop at a way that you feel, wow, that's the way I want to do pit stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like however many seconds that is for you.
Progress, not perfection, kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, all that. And so that's so far my takeaway, and everything that you've said so far is about, when you're talking about the path and the journey and attraction rather than promotion, is I'm thinking, put your, as long as you're feeling like you're putting out your best work, and it's not based on, I want to show you. I think what a lot of people make a mistake doing is they want to perform to show someone else that they can.
Yeah.
It's based on other people's approval or their feedback, rather than I feel really good about what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
For instance, this show. I feel really good about the content that you provide on this show as the host of Dharma Time. And so I can sit back here as a producer and watch you do it, and know that as you continue to put forth good material and good content, that the audience will build accordingly. And even though, yes, we do promote it, it doesn't require, no matter what promotion is not going to change, it's not going to make good content. Promotion doesn't make good content.
Correct.
But good content is easier to promote.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Said more simply is, when you're saying attraction rather than promotion, I'm thinking focus on the craft that you're doing, so that when you do promote it, you don't have to. The promotion is not going to make what you're doing any better,
right?
But it will make more people watch or pay attention.
Yeah,
to it,
I think the other thing that I think a lot of people do is to kind of prove people wrong, type of deal too.
A lot of people talk like
I'll
that.
show you.
One of our ex-producers used to do that. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was all based on that.
I'll show these person. And to me, that kind of promotion just doesn't leave you with the same sense of fulfillment.
Right.
Right. And I think that's kind of the direction I like to take the attraction rather than promotion. Is, here we go. I'll keep it spiritual for y'all. Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, Buddha, essentially, right? When he went through his little journey, and I think this is actually it's a great story. When he went through his journey of finding enlightenment, when he first started out, he was doing a bunch of stuff, meeting a bunch of different masters at different practices,
right.
Meditation and so on and so forth. And as he ascended into those levels, it wasn't giving him the fulfillment, and that's why he went to go find enlightenment.
Right.
And once he finally reached his enlightenment, he tried to go back and teach everybody. All those masters that essentially, kind of shunned him after he didn't want to continue their lineage, they all shunned him. He wanted to go back and say, look, guys, I figured it out. I found enlightenment. I want to show you this. And he was trying to tell them all about it, and they didn't want to hear about it.
Yeah,
they were like, you're ridiculous, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. And so he essentially just started living his life. And his happiness was so abundant and so clear that they were like, okay, wait a minute. He's got something figured out. And then that's how the Dharma got started, actually, was him just living his life, and them finally coming to him and saying, hold up, I can see by the way you're living your life, there's something to it. I want to know more. Right. And I could echo that in my own life, right? A perfect example, how I became the Dharma Guy, how I started teaching philosophy. I never set out to do that. Right. I got a low point in my life where I was just like, I needed something. I needed an answer. I found this, and it worked for me. And I just started living my life. I just started doing my thing. And then when you and I kind of crossed paths, it started out from the health and fitness perspective. And then one day, at Tropical, you're like, look, I need spirituality. I know you do this. I need you to do it here.
Because it attracted me.
Exactly. It wasn't that I promoted. I wasn't telling you this is what. I had no desire to do that in my life. That's not what I thought of. But I was just living my life in a way that you were like, hey, this dude seems to have something figured out. Right. And it seems genuine. He's not telling me about it. I'm just watching it, and I'm seeing his responses, whatever. Correct. And that's how I became the Dharma Guy. Even was just doing that. Right. And even now in my life today, even I don't typically go around a lot and preaching what I do. I promote the radio station and things of that nature. But when it's pertinent, right? But what I do get though is people want to listen to that because they've seen my interactions.
Right.
So they've been around me. They've seen, who I'm talking to, how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen how I am with the kids. Maybe it's through social media or in person, whatever. And I'm not actively out there trying to tell people, hey, you need to be more spiritual or whatever. I'm just doing my thing. And then they come talk to me, and the reason why I think they want to talk to me is because they've seen something that they find interesting. Mm-hmm. And then that then opens the door and gives me my opportunity to talk to them a little bit about who I am, what I do, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I get that, not because I was out there promoting, hey, guys, this is what I'm doing, this is the best way. I'm just doing my thing.
Right.
And it's attracting people to it. And I think that's where I see the similarities. That's why I thought of the NASCAR thing.
I have something to say about that, actually, because I think you bring up a great point, bringing up your own personal story, because you weren't, actively seeking that.
No.
You were on a different path.
Yeah.
But let me correct that. You were on a different path professionally, but not personally. And it was your personal path that attracted me, and it was your personal path that allowed me to know that you would be influential and good for other people to hear.
Right. And
then, so first it did start out with clients. And then as I got to know you even more, I brought you on to our show, The Couch Live.
Yeah.
And knew that you would add to that as well, the same way you were adding value to the treatment center. And then you did very well at that. And that's where the Dharma Guy honed a lot of the skills that you now have as far as how to do it in this way to invisible people. Yeah. Without the visual cue.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference when you're talking to somebody and you have visual cues and then doing it and there's no visual cues.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah, you don't see the reaction of the person you're sharing with, and you're speaking to invisible space, knowing there's hundreds or thousands of people listening, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
So then, on top of that here's what I would caution someone like you, since we're using you as an example.
Sure.
So here would be the next stage, is don't try to figure out what it is that you're doing that is attracting the people. Keep your head clear and out of it, because I think that's where also some people can make the error of saying, oh, this is why people are attracted to me, or this is why they're attracted to me, and then you try to do more of that, or it alters the way you do your craft. No.
Right.
Keep it simple. Stay focused on...
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, that's another AA thing.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Keep it very simple. Keep doing what got you there in the first place, which just do the craft.
Just be you.
Don't try to think of why I'm attracted to it. Don't try to think, why are people listening to it? Because then you're going to mess it up. You're going to get your intellect involved, and you're going to try to figure out, and you may be right, but you may be wrong. And if you're wrong, then it becomes less genuine.
Well, that's exactly what I was going with.
And you screw it up.
Yeah, the genuine part kind of goes away.
And that's what, if I had to give you feedback, it's your genuineness that is more attractive with it.
Right.
So I hope you always keep your head out of it and don't try to figure it out.
I of course like to think that I would. I mean, that's just that's the thing that I think that I value most in myself is consistency. It's just, this is who I am, man. It's who I've been all along. No matter what's going on around me, I'm gonna just be me, and that's all I can do. And I think that that's what helps other individuals even is just stay in your lane. Just do you. Be you. Stop worrying about everything else. Stop trying to promote it. Stop trying to chase something, and kind of just let it come to you, essentially.
But I think when some people say, I'm just being me,
right,
some people do need to change that. Because they're being is obnoxious, rude, arrogant,
but see, I don't
conceited, and hurting somebody. Because the they that they think they are,
that's the point,
is not the true they.
Correct.
It's the they based on pain, based on rejection, based on some insecurity.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to tell people to be themselves, then first deal with your insecurities and fears and all those things that kind of alter who you are, because that's not really who you are.
I'm actually glad because I wasn't even going to touch on that today, but I'm glad you brought it up, because I do think that's important, and that is, being you got to understand what you is. You isn't your behavior. You is you. All the vulnerabilities. You have that big dirty vulnerability word, right? That everybody hates.
Right.
Like the obnoxious, the loud, whatever. When I hear that, where I'm at now in my life, what I hear is I've got a lot of pain and scar tissue and trauma that I'm protecting, and I think that hides who you truly are.
Right.
And I think that is absolutely something I think we need to kind of touch on.
Right.
Matter of fact, we did a show on it, personal growth.
Yeah.
That was what we kind of did it on. But once you do find out who you are, once you get in touch with that, and you're okay with being vulnerable, you're okay with. And I've been fortunate, by the way. I've had I didn't have a father figure, but I did get around a lot of adult men in my life growing up that were very secure. That we didn't have a problem saying to each other how much we meant with one another. Like there wasn't that machismo kind of like, I can't appreciate this dude because it's gonna feel kind of weird, or it's gonna make me seem like weak or something. I was very fortunate that I didn't come across too many people like that growing up. A lot of the people I came across who were friends of mine or mentors or what have you, they were all very secure to the point where we're like, hey man, like I tell my buddy Terrence, right? I don't see him a lot anymore because we're just on different paths at the moment in different lifetimes. We talk a lot, but we don't see each other a lot. But I got no problem telling him, like, hey man, I love you, brother. Like, thanks for your friendship. You mean a lot to me and things of that nature. And I don't think a lot of people, especially men nowadays, we don't like to do that towards each other. And I think that's a problem. I think that vulnerability helps you find who your true self is. When you can strip away that stuff and just be honest, man. Just like, if you truly like somebody's company, what's wrong with just saying, I value your friendship, thank you. And I think that's part of the attraction. And that's where that genuineness comes in, is when you're, I've noticed that I've gotten the most kind of reactions, if you will, when I'm just not afraid to be vulnerable,
right,
in different scenarios.
Right.
When I'm not afraid of just saying, look, man, this is where I come from. This is what happened to me. I think that it's relatable for some people, and I think that shows them that my intentions are pure. Like, I'm just trying to share. I'm just trying to help. If it helps, great. If it doesn't, then maybe somebody else will.
Right.
And I think that goes into the attraction rather than promotion. I think that especially now, man, with social media, I hate to keep trashing on social media because I think there's a place for it.
Right.
But I also think that not properly balanced, it does so much harm. I watch my kids even now. My young ones, they're so attracted to like YouTube and all these little stars, and they think that that's legit. And I keep trying to explain to them, like, no, man, a lot of those people are just characters and stuff. That's not who they really are. Because I don't want them to try to emulate it so much and portray themselves as things that they're not. And so it's very important for me. But I see a lot on social media. I see on social media a lot where people will put stuff about wanting to be savage and not caring about this and not caring about that or whatever.
Oh, no F's given?
Yeah, yeah, you do.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Of course you do. We all do.
Yeah.
For you to say no F's given and even post it, that means you cared, because you cared enough to post it.
That also means that someone hurt you.
Yeah, somebody hurt you and you didn't do well with it,
right,
and then you're putting it on social media looking for validation.
And someone that loves you is probably trying to tell you something that you're not listening to.
Yeah,
you just don't want to hear it.
Exactly. And so instead of promoting that idea,
right,
why don't you're attracting certain things to your life? Pay attention. You've attracted that person in your life who's telling you something right now. Pay attention to that. And I think that I see it a lot on social media, But for me, I just I didn't see I've never seen a more evidence portrayal of that than this weekend at NASCAR. Like I really was blown away, and I'm probably going to be a fan for life now of NASCAR. I can't promise that I'll be like the biggest fan in the world and rah rah rah, but NASCAR will always have a special place in my heart now, based upon that.
And the only people that won't know that you're just not a natural fit for NASCAR are those that know you.
What do you mean?
Well, because look-wise, if people would judge you look-wise, you look,
yeah,
you fit the
look
mold.
like a NASCAR guy.
You fit the mold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't actually,
maybe you just came home.
I've never actually.
Maybe it was like Kid Rock when Kid Rock said, "I finally came home" when he started doing country.
Yeah, I guess
like
so.
Him doing country music made a lot of people go, "Oh, I can't believe Kid Rock is doing country." I look at it and go, it kind of looked like he should have been doing country all along to me.
Yeah, same here. Well, some could argue that because I am from Montana and I was born in Missouri.
I think that's important too. So let's tap into that a little bit with your attraction rather than promotion. Sometimes when we have suffered other things, isn't it true that we strayed away from something very natural for us because that had a place of pain for us? In other words, I'll qualify this.
All right.
You were a guy that grew up with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
You grew up in areas that didn't have a lot of money.
Yes.
And therefore, the power source within those areas that didn't have a lot of money were not always people of your color. Were not always people of your type.
Right.
So it would then change what a powerful person looks like, feels like, and acts like, and therefore can shift your behavior.
Yeah.
And alter the way you would project yourself.
Absolutely.
Whereas then once you're comfortable in who you are naturally, then it's easier to go back to something that's like we would call home.
Okay.
That people that may look more like you, sound more like you,
right.
be more like you. And I think that happens to a lot of us. For instance, when, as a Mexican growing up in a very dominant white culture, I almost felt like I had to promote something because it was very hard
right.
to be a Mexican in an all-white culture because people didn't see in me what I saw in me. When I look in the mirror, I see obviously a very Latino person. But then when I first realized how much I fit in white culture and they didn't know, it was almost like, well, I'm wearing sheep's clothing and didn't even know it. And it was like
okay.
it was a culture shock to me.
Right.
To really get that idea that says they really don't know. It's like walking around invisible.
Right.
So unless I say it, it's not a big deal. But then when I went back to a very Mexican area, it was like, oh my God. It was the opposite. It was like, I'm a white guy now. And I was like, how the hell did I turn into a white guy? I've never been a white guy in my life. And all of a sudden I was a white guy.
I think I get what you're getting at here. Because I grew up in the hood.
Yeah.
And so, yes, in the hood, like the typical, stereotypical, I guess, NASCAR guy was not somebody I wanted to portray.
Right.
In that area I grew up in. That's that would have got me beat up probably.
Right.
So I had to approach a much more hood rat kind of mentality and stuff.
More gang style.
Yeah. And that's what I had to promote to survive essentially in those on the streets.
Yeah.
And I did. I made fun of and looked at NASCAR like losers. Who are those guys? Like even though I look like them,
that's what I'm saying.
That's not who I was trying to portray because that's not the group I was with. Whereas where I'm at now, I feel totally comfortable walking in there because I'm not promoting that lifestyle either. I'm promoting the Dharma Guy. Me. This is who I am.
Right.
And I can fit with all those people, but I am not you. I'm me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that does fit right in. Is trying to promote something outside of ourselves, and I was so worried about promoting that I didn't attract the right stuff.
Correct. You're so worried about fitting into a stereotype that you go opposite of it.
Yeah, and as I've gotten more comfortable with things, I behave differently, and I attract different things.
Right.
I attract things that are better for me.
Right.
And things that are more in tune with where I'm at in my life at the moment, which by default are making me progress.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I do believe that happens a lot. I see it with like my kids even, right? My 14-year-old and even my 18-year-old now. They're my 14-year-old's getting ready to go to high school. It's her first year, and she's trying to fit in. I see her watching a lot of different videos on different things. Some of the people, like I'll notice her vernacular changes.
Yeah.
At home versus like when she's been around her friends at school. And on one hand, I understand that it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I also try to bring attention to it. I try to just make her aware of, hey, look at how you're trying to change to be around them. While it's okay to fit in, don't forget who you are. And I try to kind of continue to put that out there by saying, those people are going to like you when they know who you are. You're a good enough person, and you have enough to offer as who you are. Don't promote that you're like them. Be who you are and attract them to you. Does
she get offended when you say that? Because I could see how that could come off offended or be taken offended if the person is a little vulnerable to that.
No, she's actually
she takes it well.
She takes it well.
Okay.
But I had to explain it.
Okay.
Because I guess she didn't see it in herself. So I just tried to bring attention to it. I'm very lucky in the sense that she's got a really good head on her shoulders.
Very insightful.
And she listens a lot, actually.
Right on.
I managed to get her ear over the years. So I'm very lucky in that sense that I'm able to kind of talk to her. But I just, and once again, I'm not trying to tell her who to hang out with and everything else. I'm just saying when you're hanging out with them, you don't have to pick up those mannerisms. You can still be who you are and attract those same friends by being you. And that's all I was trying to get across to her.
But I guess the part that I was thinking that could be taken offensive is when you say, I could easily see somebody say, well, that is me. What do you mean by that? Because
yeah.
it is also cool at those ages to act like you don't see color, to act like you don't see that. You've heard people say that. I don't see color. It's like,
yeah, you do.
If you something wrong with you.
Yeah, right.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Because you should definitely see all that stuff. The difference is that yes, that may be you. That may be, but all that. Can you at least admit that you're speaking like that or acting like that or wanting to wear that because of what you're watching, listening to, and around?
Exactly.
Because if you're able to admit that, I don't care what you do, as long as you're able to admit it.
Yeah.
It's when you stop admitting it and when you act like you can't see that and you act like I wear this only because it's comfortable. I speak like this because this is who I am.
Yeah.
As soon as you start sounding like that or saying those things, then you're telling me you're closing your eyes to the reality.
Yeah.
I want you to be an insightful person, and it's not what you're saying that's bothering me. It's that you're not at least admitting why you're saying it.
Yeah.
Because I've had those conversations because my kids are having to deal with kind of what I dealt with without being in the neighborhoods that I was in.
Okay.
Mainly because I married a white woman.
Right.
So they're half white, half Latino. So depending on however they feel secure about themselves, they may want to go, oh, I can... that's too white, or that's I'm Spanish. They might want to say it because they're not easily recognizable as Latino either.
No, not at all.
So my youngest one, which is the lighter skinned one, the lighter one, the one that looks less Latina,
right?
Her even so, I could hear sometimes her vernacular changing and stuff like that, and her doing stuff,
right.
And I just want to know, and we get along like that because I talk a certain way, so I'm like.
I mean, I still
but
can.
You do know why you're saying that, right? Yeah. And I just ask. I like to ask a lot of questions.
Right.
And what I think is really cool is that she's at least recognizes that in the area where she's at, in the group she's, that's why she sounds the way she sounds.
Right.
And so at least she recognizes it. Because if I felt like she was like trying to play,
right,
like she comes from where I come from, or from my neighborhoods, or has the full blood like me, I mean, because there is a difference.
Yeah.
Just like I know it's a difference if I was raised on the other side of the border. There's a difference.
Well, and that was one of the conversations I actually had.
Mm-hmm.
Was there were certain things that she was trying to say and do, and I'm like, come on, hold up. Like, I know where I grew up and what I had to go through. You don't go anything like that.
Yeah, but you got to say it. You got to say it in a way that they hear it, rather than they feel like you're judging them.
Correct.
Right.
But yes, I've had that pseudo dialogue there. But
so what are they trying to promote? Bringing it back to the top. What do you feel that people that shift their vernacular, people that shift their clothing style, people that are easily swayed, because at that age it's normal. But let's bring it back to the adults that we're probably really talking to. What is it you think that they're trying to promote incorrectly? Image or
I think it would be image, because I think for a lot of them, obviously there's outliers, but I do believe it all comes back to happiness. We're trying to be happy. I mean, we're all on the same path. We're all trying to achieve happiness. Mm-hmm. We all have a different blueprint on how to get to that. And sometimes we think happiness is one thing, even though we find out later on it might not have been. But I think for them, they're trying to find happiness. And for a lot of people, I think for them, happiness is fitting in, having friends, being perceived a certain kind of way. So they want to put up this front to put this image, if you will, so they be perceived this kind of way, and they think that that's going to bring them some happiness.
So perceived as secure when maybe they're insecure. Exactly.
There's a guy, one of my favorite clients ever. I can't say his name, obviously, but one of my favorite clients ever in the history of what we do. He even told me one time that he looks a certain way in the front, but he likened himself to a duck on water. When you're looking at a duck on the surface, it looks fine, but what you don't see underneath is the legs kicking like crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. By the way, that's an AA thing too, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
People pick up things in meetings and probably bring them to you.
Yeah, and I never know.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing, though.
Well, they work in life.
Because those are real comments. Those are real things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it does come down to happiness, you know, and they think that a sense of belonging or even on like the no F's given, you know, I'm going to portray this thing out there that way, people will be afraid to hurt me, or I'm trying to put this out there so they'll think twice, or I'm going to protect myself, and all those other things, all in a sense to be happy, but what they don't realize is when you find that inner peace that spirituality gives you, and I'm biased, of course, not necessarily to Buddhism per se, but spirituality. Right. I think when you find that inner peace, those things take on a different meaning. I think that they can't hurt you as much as they used to, because when you have peace, dude, it's a wonderful thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for somebody else to take it from you, because when you have it, you appreciate it so much, and you know how you got to that it's hard to take. Like, I know where I'm at now in my life, dude.
Right.
You could take whatever you want from me. You're not gonna take my peace.
Right.
I'm keeping that, man.
Right.
Like, I spent years and years and years with no peace, just angry and bitter and just chasing all the wrong things. And when I finally, and I never knew I needed it, by the way. I never knew I needed peace. I didn't know that was what I needed until I got it. And I would, like, my definition of peace had to change. I define peace a certain way because I never tasted it. It's like if you're trying to explain, ice cream to somebody who's never had it.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
And the person who's never had it, you can't tell them how great it is, because like, I've never had it. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Right? So for me, I thought peace was a certain way. Never cared about it. I thought I had it, whatever. But then when I found spirituality and I started kind of living a life of attraction rather than promotion, instead of trying to promote to everybody how bad I was and how you need to leave me alone and how much power I had and all these other things, when I started just to live my life and not worry about any other stuff, and I started attracting different things and different people, the most important thing I attracted was peace. And when I got it, dude, it was just like, whoa. Like, it was such a weird, and we can replace the word peace with contentment. I think that's a little bit easier for people to understand, where I'm just content, I'm good, I'm okay.
Makes you sound less hippie-ish.
Yeah, right. When I got that, nobody's going to take it from me. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's what I think people need to realize. And you get that through living a life of attraction as opposed to promotion. I think when you live a life of attraction, when you just do you and be the best that you can be, continue to grow and just work on who you are, what you value, and things of that nature, I do believe that life, the universe, God, whatever it is that you kind of subscribe to, I think it does bring stuff to you. I think it does. It brings opportunities. Now, granted, you still have to take advantage of those opportunities. You still have to walk the path. But the opportunities that come to you are different when you're living a life of peace and a life of attraction rather than promoting. I know when I was promoting certain things, I had a whole bunch of different opportunities coming my way. Compared to where I'm at now, I have vastly different opportunities based upon the life that I'm living right now, right? And I think that that's what people don't understand. I think they spend so much time promoting a certain mentality, promoting a certain image, promoting what they feel to be ideal, that they don't realize that they already have the ideal within them. They just got to accept that and move on with it. And I think that if more people understood that on a deeper level, and I know we're getting deep right now, but if more people understood that on a deeper level, that they already have the happiness inside of them, they just got to uncover it a little bit. I can't imagine what this world would be at that point.
Almost like happiness is the base.
What do you mean?
In other words, if everyone, and if I'm hearing you correctly, if everyone has a sense of peace within them,
yes,
then that's almost like the base coat.
Okay.
Right? The primer. Like if you get down to the primer.
Yeah.
And then every coat of paint on top of that is some level, some paint that was put there to cover up.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
The base.
I see you stick with the race car analogy.
Yeah. Sticking with that. But if the base is good, the base is good. So like in the race car world, we know one guy that was racing this weekend that had a piece of junk car, no matter how fancy NASCAR thought he is and was, and no matter how good his smile is, and no matter how great he talks.
Right.
We all know that his car was crap the moment it was painted.
Right.
It was just a bad car.
Yeah.
No matter what. Whereas the guy we went to go support, or you went to go support for us,
he's got a great car.
He's got a great car. So no matter what the paint is, whether it's the Now Matters More Foundation or some ABC whatever's, is his sponsor. The car is great. And so, in the attraction, bringing it back to attraction rather than promotion, if you walk around knowing that we can see you, regardless of what you're trying to show us,
that's where the vulnerability part comes in.
Just know that we can see you. I think what I liked doing in group sessions more than anything is allowing them to know in a very safe and loving way. Once I knew that I had the rapport built, once I knew that I can say what I needed to say, and carry them through whatever pain they felt from what I said,
right,
and just help them process it,
right.
Then I would say things to them to allow them to know that regardless of what you're trying to show me, here's what I see.
Yeah.
And when they would be like, "Oh my God, you get me more than..." No. What you don't understand is I don't have special powers.
No,
I'm just taking the time to share it with you.
Yeah.
Other people see this, and instead of sharing it with you, if you're not what they want to be around, they just walk right by you.
Right.
They just don't say hello. They just don't become friends with you. They just don't share time with you. And you'll never know. Because people don't care enough typically to stop and share with you.
Or they don't know how.
Unless it somehow promotes their arrogance or something within them to point it out to you.
Right. I'm going to let you know.
I'm telling you out of love.
Yeah.
Other people are either telling you just to hurt your feelings, or they don't tell you because they don't care enough to tell you.
Right.
But it's there, because if not, I wouldn't have been able to tell you this. And I think, so getting down to the raw primer to who you are, that level of acceptance of who you are, to know who you are, I think is very important.
It's hard work, too.
Just be real, but not be real the way that we all hear people. I'm just being real because I think they're just being...
I'm keeping it real.
I just think they're just being jackasses.
It's just an excuse to be an asshole.
Be an asshole, yeah. I think being real is almost allowing yourself to be dorky and geeky and all the things bad in your head and be like, no matter what, if you're cool, you're cool. If you're a dork, I don't care how cool you think you're being, you're still a dork, bro. That's just not...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you're afraid, I can see the fear. You're not going to cover up fear with toughness.
No.
You know, because once it comes to be, I'm going to see that fear in your face.
Of course.
You know, and it's okay because we are all afraid.
Of something,
Yeah, we all have fear. We all have insecurities. We all have things that make us not so attractive at times. But guess what? That is what it's attractive.
The imperfections is what makes you perfect.
That's what makes us want to be close to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's one of the things I liked most about, spirituality is it uncovers what was already there.
Yeah.
You know, I lived a life that I didn't think I was even capable of having compassion or empathy, things of that nature. I was so good at promoting a different lifestyle that I even convinced myself of who I was.
Right.
This is who I am.
Right.
No, it's not. That's who I learned to be.
Right.
You know, through going through what I went through, I learned how to be a different way to survive. That's not who I am.
Right.
That's what I did. And I think a lot of people don't realize, that's not who you are. That's what you do. And you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing this because of this, this, and this. You address those and get some closure and realize it's okay, then maybe who you are starts to change a little bit.
Right.
Because the compassion and everything else, we all have it. It's innate in us.
Right.
Watch two little kids, man. They're some of the most compassionate things you'll ever see. There is no... That's why I love little kids, man. Like, they're the most innocent, most unjaded, out there. And they got life figured out. They really do. It's us that can learn from them, not the other way around.
Right.
Because what we're doing is we're typically teaching them from our own pain. We're teaching them how to not get hurt.
Right.
We're teaching them to cover things up. And I think for them, what we can learn is to be a little bit more, content and happy. Like that's why little kids are so attractive, right? I don't mean physically attractive. I mean, we want to be around them is because of their childlike nature, of their just inquisitiveness. They're free. We have that. We've covered it up over years.
Right.
We got years and years of pain, and we promote different lifestyle to protect that. But if we learn how to just kind of be who we are, you'll start attracting different things.
I had to do physical things to learn that, Trinity, and I did it consciously. I remember when I shaved off my entire beard. I had a whole beard, and I shaved it off completely. Took out the earrings.
I can't join you in that one, man.
I took out the earrings. I cut my hair. Cutting my hair was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Really?
It was horrible. It was horrible. I videotaped the whole thing when that wasn't even a thing.
Even with one of the big camcorders?
Yeah, a big camcorder. And I kept the hair. I have the hair in my closet. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It was that big of a deal.
Wow.
All
right.
It was that big of a deal. And then I wore different clothing. I did everything physical because when you try to change just by thinking it and writing it out is one thing. But what I realized to me is when I experienced it, like actually experienced it, it was easier to write about or think about. So when I cut the hair, I started wearing polo clothes. When I first moved, I wore polo clothing.
Oh, is that that picture with you in that little pastel thing by the pool?
Oh, no, that was a different thing. That was the parents and Jimmy and my brother making me wear that. I wasn't there yet.
And Dana, I want that picture.
I wasn't there yet. I wasn't there yet. But shortly after that, I tried that to see maybe that's what it is. Maybe if I wear this, I won't be so angry and I'll be happy like these colors are happy, right?
Right.
It was very uncomfortable, but the way the world responded to me, I felt so vulnerable. I felt so weak in that clothing. I felt like Samson,
Really?
got his hair cut. No hair, that clothing, no earrings, none of the stuff that immediately told you back away from me, leave me alone.
Right.
All my dark black leather, all that stuff gone. All of a sudden, it was a different world. I remember getting on elevators, and instead of people getting off elevators, they were staying in elevators. They were saying hi to me. It was just a whole different world, and I started getting that. And then years in, about 8 years in, I'm already, successful in my private practice and everything. I had a work truck from my construction company that had a green door on it, and I had to drive it one day to
I
work.
remember you telling me about this one.
And the way people responded to me with that green door, here's a white truck with a green door. Just the way the world was responding to me in that vehicle, different than my sports cars or whatever else I was driving at the time.
Right.
I was like, I like this. I did it for a year, Trinity. I drove that truck with the green door probably for an entire year. And that was the most therapeutic time ever because there was no image or posturing of any type. It was all,
just you.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
Judge me how you wish because who I am underneath is different than what you're probably judging me. But I was raw and vulnerable driving a truck with a green door, brother. So, anyway, sometimes you have to do physical things to kind of give you the lesson is why I said that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for each person, it's a different path to uncover that. But I think that there's a benefit in doing it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think that it's a very liberating thing when you can let go of all that scar tissue. It's a very liberating thing when you could shed this promotion that you've been doing. This image that you're promoting out in the world. And the funniest part, it's not really funny, I guess, but it's more of a ironic part, I guess. And that is a lot of the times, not always, but a lot of the times, this image that we're projecting because we think it's going to bring us happiness is the one thing that's keeping us from happiness. If that makes any sense. Right? It's like, I think this is going to, I'm trying to find happiness. I think this is what's going to make me happy, and I'm going to project this image. Right. So, for instance, the person who's saying, I don't give any Fs. Yeah. Yeah, you do. But, and what you don't realize is by projecting that image, you're coming off in a way that's keeping the people who are going to come to you to give you that kind of that feeling you're looking for that gives you happiness. Yeah. You're pushing those people away. Yeah. So the one thing that you're wanting, your way of doing it is actually pushing it further away from you. And I think that's the ironic part. Mm-hmm. And it's that's why everybody thinks vulnerability is a cuss word, man. Mm-hmm. They hear vulnerability and people are like, get away.
And I like it.
I love vulnerability, man. Mm-hmm. I love. I seek out vulnerability at this point because I've noticed that every time I find vulnerability, number one, I grow from it. Right. And number two, it's no longer a vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Like after I've approached it and I've let it open, it's not, it's kind of like if you're in one of those old school, like comedian battles, like if you're a big fat guy, comment on your own fatness. Yeah. Don't let the other comedian do it. Yeah. You disarm them and you take that away from them.
Absolutely.
So if you address your own vulnerabilities, those are some of the hardest people to get one over on, to scam, to whatever, is because you can't attack them anymore through that way. No. Like they're whole. The person who doesn't have the vulnerabilities, you're not going to be able to trick them or scam them the way you would anybody else. They're not as vulnerable to attack anymore because they've already dealt with all the little ways in that you would have used. Back in the day when I was doing my unscrupulous stuff, when I would see hurt individuals, that was easy for me. I would come through that little crack and I would get whatever I wanted to get.
Unscrupulous stuff.
Yes, back when I was not the angel you see before you.
I like the way you identify the unscrupulous stuff.
Yeah.
So you better get to the three things, man. We
got to get the three things and sponsors and everything, man. Yeah. All right. So once again, every week we kind of do our three things. I like to give you some sort of an action plan, right? Because it's one thing to hear all this, but how do we actually apply it? So the 3 tips this week for attraction rather than promotion. Like, how do you apply everything that we've just talked about? The first one I have here is learn other people's path. So what I mean by that is spend more time listening than you do talking. Other words, don't go out there trying to tell everybody about your path and what you're trying to do and promote it to everybody. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to their path. And oftentimes, the more listening you do, the more learning you do, and more people are more in tune to want to know more about you. And it happened to me this whole weekend, actually, when I was doing plane rides. I learned so many things about so many people that I garnered some really good relationships out of that. And I didn't spend any time talking about what I was doing until the end when they asked. So the second one is stay consistent. I think that's probably one of the most important ones is you can't be wishy-washy from day to day. If you're going to live a certain lifestyle, if you're going to be who you are, be that person every day, day in and day out. You don't have to try to put up a facade or anything else. Just be you. And as long as you're being you, the consistency will take care of itself. And then the third one is don't fear evolution. Don't get so stuck in what you think is you that you're afraid to evolve from that and grow. If you're not growing, you're moving backwards. And so I think that is paramount. We have to continue to grow. We have to continue to evolve. We don't get so stuck in what our ways are. So first one is listen to other people's paths, get to know what they're doing. Second one is stay consistent. And then the third one is don't be afraid to evolve. I believe that is pretty much all we got. I do got to thank some sponsors here. We got to thank Retreat Premier Treatment Addiction Centers. Oh, gosh.
Wow, you didn't even say it right.
I did not, did I? Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers.
There
we go.
There you go.
I'm out of practice, brother. And we got Journey Pure as well, which is where I was at a couple weeks ago in Tennessee. And then we got Orange County Drug-Free Coalition.
Right.
And then finally we got Now Matters More, which you can check us out at nowmattersmore.org, and you can donate. You can see what we're about. And if you need help, whether it be a potential treatment for yourself, a friend, a family, you don't know where to send them, it's 1-833-NOW-MATTERS, and somebody will pick up the phone, most likely this gentleman over here. And I think that's all we got, man. It was a good day back. I like it.
Yeah. By the way, our good friend Patrick lost his father yesterday.
Yes, I saw that on.
So our condolences to Patrick.
Absolutely.
And the entire Journey Pure family.
On that note, now that you know better, do better. Till next time, peace.
I think he plans it all out. Or just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.